Good afternoon, welcome to Your Stocks. I'm Nigel D'Souza. With me is Sumaira Abadi, and as we speak, in fact, the Nifty is struggling in today's trading session. It's down by close to 70 points. The mid-cap index as well is down and out, while we're seeing the Bank Nifty as well under considerable pressure. Pull up a few stocks. I think Coal India should come up for you. That stock, in fact, has moved to the low point of the day. And pull up Vedanta Industries as well. There's so much of talk that Goa mining has resumed. That's why we were seeing a big run in the stock. Take a look at that one. In fact, it went up by close to 2-3%. That was more of a dead cat bounce. Just take a look at that stock. It's made a new 52-week low today. And Hindalco, a lot of talk that in fact when Hindalco goes to around 95 rupees, then it's half-time surprise to book, etc. That stock as well seeing unrelenting pressure as we speak, and that's what's really leading the Nifty lower in today's trading session. A few stocks though that are doing quite well. Pull up Wipro. That stock is holding well in the green. Dr. Reddy's as well is holding with some gains, and thank God for Infosys. If you pull up a contribution chart, you'll see that Infosys is holding with a gain of around 3%. That's preventing the Nifty from falling apart, because if Infosys was down in today's trading session, and if Infosys didn't put on that good 3%, then in fact the Nifty would have easily been down by close to around 95 points. We're down 70 points, but that's only thanks to Infosys. If not for Infosys and TCS, then we would have been down more than 100 points. Hi, Sumaira.
Hi Nigel, good afternoon. So let's get started then and welcome our experts on the show. It's day 3 of our ongoing series inside Chennai, and we'll be getting you some queries from investors who are standing by in that city. Our expert, we have Mayuresh Joshi of Angel Broking, who's going to be answering all the stock queries, and Harshvardhan Roongta of Roongta Securities is our personal finance expert. So good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining in. And first up, let me hand it over to Purnima Murali, who's in Chennai with our investors for the various queries. Purnima?
All right, we have Mr. Venkatakrishnan who has a question on the steel sector. So what's your query?
It was a small company called Kalyani Steels which had a good run in the past with automotive. But last year I bought it around 165, and even now it is at 155. So I have about 200 shares of that. It is not moving up. It's flat for the whole 12 months. It has gone up a little, but not very appreciative level. The company has shown a good result, but in spite of that, the stocks are not moving much. I would like to have your advice on that.
So what's your advice on that?
All right, Purnima, thanks very much for that. But let me hand it over to Mayuresh, who's actually the expert on this. Mayuresh, for someone who's making a bit of a loss on Kalyani Steel, what would you recommend?
Afternoon, Sumaira. I think clearly with the kind of pain that we're seeing in the steel industry, the realizations have gone down. Chinese yuan devaluation is not going to help realizations improve in the short to medium term. So clearly I think the investor needs to have a lot of patience when it comes to steel stocks. And clearly if you look at Kalyani Steel, I think part of the Kalyani group, it does qualitative carbon alloying and steel output. And clearly I think the numbers have been quite resilient. So operating margins at 15.5%, more or less to do with the fall that we've seen in iron ore prices. But again, I think we come back to the mood question on where the realizations are heading generally for the end product, which looks very, very muted, at least for the next 2 to 3 quarters. And clearly, I think with the kind of Chinese imports, or the threat of Chinese imports getting dumped worldwide, I think that will create further pressure in terms of realizations going forward. So if the investor doesn't have a longish view, our take is that probably he can look at alternative stocks. He can actually look at IT companies. So in my opinion, I think Infosys has given a decent set of numbers. Again, I think the volume growth is expected to be quite decent. Cross-currency growth in dollar terms is expected to grow for Infosys. And again, valuations are looking very attractive. So Infosys with a target of 1306 is an alternative investment that he can look at. But I think he has to keep patience for Kalyani Steel as an investment.
All right, then that's the view coming in on Kalyani Steel. Maybe stay invested. You could get some returns coming in from there. But let's go across for our next query.
We have with us another active investor, Mr. Venkatakrishnan. He is from Chennai and has been actively investing for the last 25 years. So what about your portfolio? Can you give us a brief?
My portfolio is pretty large and diversified. It has more into the large cap. Of late, I'm entering into the MSME side.
What's your question?
The question is basically I have purchased 200 shares of Karur Vysya Bank last year at around 395 rupees. Now its CMP is about 460. My question is whether I should hold. This is a private banking sector. how does it fare in the next horizon of...
We'll get back to that query, but let's hop across. The management of Apollo Tyres is detailing their numbers.
The APMEA region and the Europe region.